WeTransact and the Real Raise Summit. And this is a very exciting panel today with O. She has had so many amazing experiences with NFTs and with her NFT projects that she'd like to share with us today. Good and bad. I think this is going to be a session that is really designed to be more, you could be a panelist on the stage here. Let's have a real conversation about NFTs. Let's really dive in to what we're doing, what we've tried, what we're thinking about doing. That is the spirit of this panel. So it's a little different than our other panels at the summit today. So, let me hand it off and just, why don't you share with us, tell us a little bit about your projects, how you got into NFT. Let's start there.
Hi. I'm O, and I'm a CEO of OHZONE. And I've been, I have a startup that does 3D technology, 3D photorealistic in fashion. As you can see here is, I had a project called NFT Runway. So I'm actually a two-time, NFT veterans. So those projects fail miserably, but I learn a lot.
Yes.
So, so I wanted to share with you, some of my projects, and both the two projects that I worked on. Hi,
Yeah.
Allison. The two
Welcome.
projects that I worked on, I actually part of the charity endowment, and we were trying to experiment in creating NFT for charity. So the first one I can share was I did a project with Mac 100, and
Okay.
he is a original OG rapper, part of the Tupac, Snoop Dogg crowd, and we were trying to create a cannabis NFT project to benefit Last Prisoner Project.
Wow.
And they are a nonprofit organization that help basically release incarcerated prisoners due to cannabis, because cannabis is legal now in most states, right?
Right.
But
And
they
they're
still
still incarcerated.
they're still in prison. That's right. And then these guys are, because the way that privatization of prisons,
Yeah.
they like to keep nonviolent prisoner there
Wow.
because it's easier to control, right? So
So how
this is
did you
the
connect that in the beginning? Because that's a pretty big mission project. How did you connect with that?
um my brother-in-law, who has only one arm, he used cannabis as part of his therapy. So he saw the technology. He came visit, and he saw the technology that we were doing, which is 3D modeling. He said, let's do a bud. So I entertained him. Then I entertained him, and I did one. He go, oh wow, that's really cool. Then from then on, we got connected to several other who said, hey, let's do NFT, and I know that there's a movement going on, and my daughter, in college campuses, this is the movement that they especially are working on, which is release prisoner, and it's a new thing, right?
Yeah.
Where federal government is still illegal, and then on the state level it is it is not. So so she was passionate about it. That's how we connected.
Wow.
But I got referral to referral. One tips I want to add was that people tell you to network, meet other people, but I've learned on this journey that you should ask, how did they met that person that you wanted them to connect you to?
Yeah.
Because sometimes, when they met in drug rehab, it's not really a pleasant memory for them to recall and connect with you. You're like,
Yeah.
hey, I met you in rehab. So, can you talk to O? So that didn't work out.
Yeah. So that's a really good point about NFTs. And I want to welcome everybody. This is a very open panel. We want you to be a part of the panel. And really, the goal here today is to share our NFT stories, ask each other questions. What worked, what didn't work, even if you have an idea for an NFT or you're just trying to figure it out for yourself, we want to really be able to leverage this tool. It's another tool in the toolbox that our companies or just us as individuals would like to leverage for a cause or for a mission. So please, anytime, feel free to throw in a question on the side. You can flip on your mic, come on in, raise a hand. O is, of course, kicking off the discussion by talking about one of her NFT. And I love the way you said you're a two-time veteran and they miserably failed. Like, thank you for being that candid. Not all of these experiments work. But that's why we're here too, to share and learn and hopefully not repeat that, but also support us until we all figure it out and make it work. So thank you
Yeah.
so much for being so open and vulnerable about that.
Thank you for having me here. And I want to disclaim, that this is, you know, this this is a free advice, so take it for whatever it's worth. So, don't, I mean, it just it's a point for you to think about, your own project and
Yeah,
how we think about it. It's often misleading that NFT is about art and about collectible, all of that. I
yeah,
think that I want to make the final point that there are two types of NFT collectors, and basically one is, the original one, which started off collecting as art. That's, in January of 2021, perhaps. Then after, but now, NFT, projects are very similar to almost like a Kickstarter kind of situation. Or
that's a
I
good
like to,
point.
huh?
Yeah, it's a
Right?
really good point. It is, if we think about it in terms of our own businesses, what are the
Mm-hmm.
other tools in the toolbox we could be using? We could be doing a Kickstarter, I Fund Women,
Mm-hmm.
any crowdfunding funding campaigns. Start. I mean, there's a lot of those out there,
Mm-hmm.
but it's a similar idea. You're putting up maybe something that represents an idea, a goal, a mission,
Mm-hmm.
hoping to attract, to market that to an
Mm-hmm.
audience that resonates with them
Mm-hmm.
and that they want to support you. And so
Right.
they purchase it, and
Right.
then they get this NFT in exchange or perhaps some access or utility from it. So it is kind of
Right.
an interesting comparison to another tool in the
Mm-hmm.
toolbox that could be compared to crowdfunding in a way.
Right. So I think that it's very similar, and the idea of, basically crowdfunding, right, is, which I've, have talked to so many version of those, crowdfunding, with Kickstarter, with iFund Women, and another one with Startup Engine,
Yeah,
right? The trick to that, and they would come out and tell you once you're, have a meeting, was that 20% or 25% you already have to raise, right?
right.
You have to come
Need
into
it.
the game, right? That already pre-race, or whoever, get your brother and his cousin, whatever, to commit the money,
Yeah.
and then they'll take 20% of that, but of the money, right? So let's think on it, on that point. But
Yeah.
NFT now, basically, it's more similar to, if you go to different, and mostly are promoted in on Discord or Telegram.
Okay,
So
that's a good
on
point for
Clubhouse,
you.
on Clubhouse, but mostly
Yeah.
on Discord, yeah. And it's all about we'll go over to the NFT term,
Yeah.
but you know, the first group of people who would, basically, what you need is just like Kickstarter. You need to create a momentum, and
Yeah.
unfortunately, the first momentum that comes in is, these guys, I call it NFT trader. They're like a day trader. They want to buy and flip within 24 hours.
The house flippers. The
Yeah, yeah, that's right. The house flip.
side.
Right. So they wanna see big names, behind it, like, Mark Cuban, or, or Snoop Dogg, or, Steph
They
Curry,
want to be with the cool kids, wherever the cool
Yeah,
kids
yeah.
are.
And then you have to really separate that the cool kids there, you know how you superstar in a certain area.
Yeah,
So let me share with you my first NFT that I was
great.
thinking that I did, but I didn't do enough of marketing.
Okay,
And
so this is the first experiment with NFT.
right.
And
Let me see.
anybody
I
can share on the side too while O's pulling that up. Share if
I
you
don't know how to share it on Google Draw.
oh at the
Google.
bottom there'll be a couple dots. You
Oh, okay.
should be
Let's see
able to
here.
share the screen. And if you want to share your NFT project on the side Or if you've
Hmm.
done a crowdfunding campaign, I'd just love to hear from the founders in the audience, any experience that you might have there, because these are all really interesting.
Oh, here it is. So this is only 1 minute video. So
Cool.
uh,
Great.
so I could. Was that good?
Now tell us, what was that video for? Like,
That was a promo video for the. Wait. Okay.
yeah, so that was a promo for announcing, hey, this is coming.
Right. This is the typical promo video, of um of the NFT, the NFT projects, right? Would put out this video. I would say that, if you think of, Las Vegas kind of promotion for slot machine, and that's what it is.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? They giveaways, there's a lot of giveaways going on, and being the whitelisting, being, and there's a whole community that does these NFT prize hunting,
Okay.
that's portion of this. But I did this NFT here, basically solely on, percentage, meaning we come together and nobody is pay. Right, basically we negotiated percentage upfront, who gets how much money for, or a percentage, and what the charity gets, and versus what the cost, and all the offset, right?
What are
So
some of the costs? Let's go over that, because there's, we got to actually create the NFT.
mhm,
We have a
right.
variety of experiences in the audience, so just kind of review a couple of the costs so
So
people
I'm
know.
gonna share the screen again. Let me see here. So I did this little thing. Wait, let me see here. Ah, sorry, in the middle of right. So I want to, that several NFT project. I want to show you the credential. That I was quoted in Cointelegraph. It was on NBC News. On, of course, in Vogue Business, and also BTC, all the crypto. So for your NFT project, if you want the credential, you need to go after the crypto people. That's where the NFT flippers are at.
So those are the things
They
that
read these things.
got it. So you need to be featured here to be taken seriously.
Correct.
Okay.
Right. You can't be in, even Forbes is not entirely there, but all the crypto publication. So
Yeah.
these are where, they create the momentum. So I wanted to basically go over a little bit of term, right? What's NFT? Everybody know what that is, or kind of new. Is a ledger that cannot be changed in the blockchain. Basically, it's like an account bookkeeping. It's a digital bookkeeping. You know, um, and what is a gas fee? Right, gas fee is a fee charge to create an entry into that ledger. So, for example, if you create an NFT, sometimes that require three entry into the blockchain,
Mhm.
like who's a creator, what's percentage that you own, and how you splitting it, or how many item how many pieces do you have for this minting. So that's what
And
the gas fee is charged.
you set those as your NFT project. You would decide all those, how many you're going to create or mince.
Yes, correct. Right. And then, of course, wearables, it means NFT plus a digital asset in the metaverse. So in order for you to take any digital asset or any items into the metaverse, you need an NFT. And an NFT there in the metaverse acts as like a receipt, because these are digital file, a digital asset that anybody can copy, right? But for them to authenticate that you own this 3D file, or these any files there, a digital file, they need an NFT to set you're the owner of that file.
I
That
like the
is,
way you say, yeah, that's the receipt. It's like
mm-hmm,
you're certificate of authenticity. There may
Right,
be
right,
copies out there because somebody screenshot, but we know that's not the authentic version, the right saying I do own this or this is real.
right, right.
Okay.
So it's basically kind of like similar to they basically create provenance. That's the term they use, right? Provenance.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yes.
And what is lazy minting, right? This lazy minting is mean that you get the buyers to pay for the gas fee, but you have to realize that gas fee are very expensive. So right now get gas fee is zero point 0.7 ETH. ETH was at, I think now is at about $2,500. So that's really a lot of money.
That's
So
a lot of money.
right, so the buyer, when they look at it, they have to understand that whatever your set price is, they have to pay the gas fee. And this is what most artists goes in and go, oh, I don't have to do anything, I just put it on OpenSea and let the buyer mint. Well, that's where the mistakes is happening, because then once you add the gas fee, the price is really high, right?
Ah,
um Together, right? And then there's what everybody's doing now, they call it block minting. Block minting is that you mint the whole series in one shot, and then you basically divided the gas fee in along the gas fee among the minting. Like for example, if the gas fee is zero point 0.7 ETH, and it's about, I don't know what zero point 0.7 ETH is about, shoot,
yeah.
let's pick a number.
We'll just say 2,500 or
All right,
something nice.
2,500, right? That's 2,500, right?
Yeah,
So if you mint 5,000 of those, 2,500 is get divided by 500 or 5,000. It'd
for the
be like a
cost per
right,
move.
right, right. So
So
like
you're
50
batching it.
cents, right? You're batching it together, right? But
Okay.
that batching is, will increase your minting price, but it's a one-time fee. And what
Right.
happened is that your buyer would actually only pay transaction fee, and transaction fee is really small, like 0.002 ETH, which is about maybe 50 to $100.
Okay.
And that's what everybody's doing now. But this block minting, now I want to stress, this block minting require custom contract. It needs to be written in Solidity, right? This
Okay.
require DApp programming.
Yeah.
Is a different animal entirely. So you go find DApp developer. um,
Now, I'd love to open it up to everybody here because these are, technical terms, and I want to see if there are any questions. Feel free to raise your hand or come on. Uh, I, of course, am asking a lot of questions because we are putting together our NFT founder trading cards. So this is something I've been running a lot of questions by O, and why we created today's panel and wanted to share it with everybody so we could all learn. Because this is all new, and we want to really make sure everybody is using this for whatever you're thinking about. So feel free to ask. There's definitely open panel time, and I'll let you keep going. This is really, really helpful. I love the batching. I think anytime you can get the cost down, that's a good thing in terms of profit or more money going to the cause or the charity. So let's keep going.
So so just the one last thing is that I call this NFT mantra, and you read this over and over, from various places, but it's really true. It's three most important points is you have to consider who's your community, who's your target to buy your NFT, right? And the scarcity of like how what is important, what is that community value, as something that they can't get. It's something unique, that's something they want to own, they want to be a part of. And utility, which is what do they get to go with it, right? What do you get for that? I'll give
Yeah.
you an example. The for example, the cannabis project, which is the Maction 100 that you just saw, and he actually, that track is by Snoop Dogg. He's actually the influencer, the OG influencer in the crypto space, right? But that when every time I pitch that project to potential NFT investor,
Yeah.
they said, "Hey, can I smoke with Snoop? Can I get that?"
More
Right.
access.
Right,
There's a
that's about access.
story.
They go, "Can I get the first dip to his new strand, huh?"
That's very real. What
Right,
secret opportunity? What do I get out of it? Because really, it's a digital asset. So they're
right.
not really wanting that. They're wanting it as a special VIP pass to some extent.
Right. They want to go to his backstage passes and hang out with all his bitches or whatever, that. Sorry.
What a funny experience for your first NFT project.
Right? They go, can I get a pre-roll? That's what they always ask me for. Can I
Yeah,
smoke?
very real.
And they ask me if I smoke it, how do I divorce the NFT from the real thing? Because I really want to smoke that thing. Right?
That's hilarious. Oh my gosh. And this is very real though. I think that's what is important that I'm learning and hearing about as I talk to a lot of people about NFTs is at the end of the day, it's who's willing to pay for what. And that is just a very human thing. Like what does someone want to spend their time or money on? And that's just selling someone something they want and
Right.
keeping it fun. I'd love to share. Oh, I see a hand up. Let's um let's give a
I'm
few
done.
people
Yeah, go
no,
ahead. Yeah.
this is fantastic because it's sparking stuff. Let's start. Michelle, I want to hear about your project. I'm going to take a quick hand from Alex really quick, and then we'll dive into sharing some projects. So go ahead, Alex. Welcome to the stage.
Hello.
Hi there.
So I don't necessarily have a question yet. I want to tell you just a little bit about my perspective. So we're in a tangential space to NFTs, which has come into the purview, right, because of the popularity, the hype. But there's like a super functional use, right? As you mentioned, there is a lot of utility, right? Artists get paid over and over and over. It's a trackable way to actually own your IP, which I think is really valid. And that actually creates opportunity for generational wealth. So your family and you get paid continually for the work that you're doing now, how it's getting sold. I think that's incredibly valuable.
Wow.
And then obviously fractionalizing. So if you're buying a piece of art, you're owning that art, right? If you buy a Monet, you're spending millions and millions and millions of dollars. Right now, even Masterworks is now fractionalizing ownership of blue chip art. So you can buy ownership in these massively valuable historical pieces. And it's creating again an opportunity for wealth that was never there before. So now that Monet that's worth, hundreds of millions now is worth billions later, but you own a little piece of that and your investment has increased. And then just lastly, to wrap it up, I actually look as NFTs as kind of a gateway drug to the metaverse, if you will, because metaverse, right, Web3, all these technical terms get overwhelming, right? We've been in the AR VR space, which essentially equals metaverse at this point, for 7 years since the beginning of this sort of like commercialization. And what I think is happening now is there's like a more common rhetoric that's happening, which is great. And if you think about our digital natives, they're already buying skins and power-ups and avatars and all these other things in games. If you're not a gamer, right, how do you understand digital commerce in the way that gamers do? I think NFTs are that thing that bridges the gap for people that aren't necessarily gamers, that make it a tangible thing that they can understand as far as like digital ownership. But I do think that there's going to be a massive, massive amount of phygital ownership. So you're going to own something physical and something digital. And that's where you see the combination. I know that's what you're doing at NFT Runway, and it's a very cool use case. So
Phygital. That I haven't heard this term, but I love it.
It's a weird one.
Yeah. Alex, thank you. I mean that's very good input, and I didn't mention about the I think that there is and just to disclose, my understanding of Alpha and Gen Z and Millennial just come through my daughters, but my millennial daughter doesn't really care about Monet. They don't, can't even buy a house. So, I mean, there is a little bit of, just food for thoughts that people who own Monet now is not interested in selling fractional of their Monet that they own. They don't want people to be telling them what to do who pay $5 to get there, you know. I think that this is the idea, but I want to say that I met so many artists as part of the Dream Conduit at Clubhouse. We have a DAO called Dream Conduit that help artists come on board NFT. And the first thing that overwhelmed the artists is you got to find your own people who want to buy your art in the NFT space. and that is like a stumbling block that it's like you have to do your own marketing. And it doesn't mean if you already have problems with marketing in the physical space, and now I mean, so that's just one point. just
Yeah,
just
no,
just just a point that I'm saying, that it's not like you go, I'm got NFT, and everybody comes by. You
yeah,
got
yeah,
to do your own, just like Kickstarter. It's not like you put on a Kickstarter, you got already did all your marketing for Kickstarter to happen. So
yeah.
I understand, and the secondary contract is actually you get about 10 or customary 10 or 15%. Mean after they resell it, you get about 10 to 15%. But that's entirely. And now if you want more than that, or you wanted to split the project, now you're doing secondary custom contract, which is now another layer of the app, contract work, but on the blockchain. But anyway, that's a different point. Yeah.
It's so
It
interesting, hearing you guys say both sides of this. I think that's what's so, as the world kind of has these different entry points, right? Because
Right.
I was an art history nerd, so I like geek out at the thought that I could own a, what if it was a Banksy? Like, wouldn't that be amazing if there was a way that Banksy, instead of like having his digital art at Christie's, had a, I mean, to me as an art history, somebody who loves that too, I think that's what's so interesting is this is grabbing people on so many different levels of what they're interested in and exploring now how we could do this. And, hearing Alex, you talk about that generational wealth, this is something, um, do they? Oh, very cool. I didn't know Masterworks has a Banksy. But this is what's
Right.
really exciting is like these are never thought of before possibilities. And I think today's discussion is also kind of like just blowing each other's minds in terms of out of the box thinking and questions and how could that work or would it work? And there's that practical. I mean,
Right. I mean, I
oh,
really
you have
like the
practical experience too of like some of them, the marketing is a huge barrier. I mean, that's a reality of how challenging it is to do something.
right. And then I would like to see the community that puts together, that help artists market this. I
Yeah.
mean, and also I want to be cautious is that in crypto, as Alex know, right? If I have been a principal engineer in 3D computer graphics for the past 30 years. I started when SGI was the cool company to work for. Right, but the coolest, right? But so I knew everybody in the Silicon Valley in this space, right? And I want to mention that the if you think we hardly had any women in 3D computer graphics, there's in a handful in crypto space. It's even less.
So
So
just being
and then
here,
you're
this
pitching
room is
into.
impressive because I
Right.
think we're almost all
Actually,
women
yeah.
right now. This is an exciting room and
Right,
moment.
right,
I,
right.
I want to applaud everybody and give you a high five for that because this is important. This is just being here and exploring it and even experimenting with it is really vital because we are role models and thought makers and creators and setters and trend setters, whatever word you want to use. Um, us being here, us sharing that we're here, just having this discussion is going to have so many ramifications for women in the space, generational wealth for women, which Alex, you were bringing up. And I just think this is
So
something to be applauded. And I really appreciate everybody for coming today just for
so
that.
just as an example of a digital product, a digital NFT, if you go look at StockX, this is what, as you mentioned, generational wealth, but it's different than what you think it is. Kids are buying Air Jordan, which is the sneaker itself, being put in a vault for $6,500. That's what they're collecting.
Wow.
So these are just kids that is buying in crypto, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, and so it means like what they, like you said, generational wealth, but this generation on the Gen Z or Alpha, they want to collect sneakers.
Yeah.
So
It's what
that
matters to them.
right.
What's fun and cool. Well, I
Right.
wanted to maybe
Go
go
ahead.
ahead and click stop sharing just so I can see everybody here together and everybody
Okay.
can see as much as possible. Michelle, let's share. You've got an NFT project. Feel free. You were willing to share. Let's hear about what you're working on.
Sure. Hello, everybody. Can you hear me okay? Yes. Hi. So I'm Michelle from My Librarian, and I decided to do an experimental NFT project, and it's 180 images, and 60 of them are available for sale. The whole 180 are minted on OpenSea, is what I decided to use. And for the entire collection, it cost me about $45 in gas fees to push it live.
That was
And
pretty good.
yeah, no one's purchased anything yet, but I'm still working on the marketing. I launched it right before Christmas, but I really want to add more utility. This is in support of a novel that I have coming out. It's my 6th book called Be There, and it's where the lead character learns how to surf.
Nice.
And so, sure, I decided to, give them the NFT with a caption that's surfing inspired. So that could be cool for however they would want to use that digital art. But then they would also get previews of the book, perks regarding the book. But then for some of them, I've also added a surf session with me. So that's some new utility. And as they roll out over the next 6 to 10 months, I'm just gonna keep revamping it until they sell. I think they're priced kind of high, but I wanted to make sure as they were resold that a considerable amount would go to the creator. And last March, NFTs came onto the scene, and I just felt like this could be a good opportunity for creators to earn some money for their books, ebooks, films, TV shows, whatever, but we're still trying to figure out how to do it. I decided against the model that art songs or recording artists use, which is more of a royalties model where everyone's kind of crowdfunding the song and then you're getting a piece of the royalty, because for a book it's just it's not really feasible for someone who doesn't make a lot of money off their books. I don't know, I have to rethink that, I believe. And we'll just continue to experiment, and this project was always going to coincide with the WeTransact founder trading card series that I'm a part of, which Alexis will talk more about, and just see how we can all support each other's projects. So
that's amazing.
That's all I have to say.
Any questions for O, or things on the marketing side? Feel free to ask anytime. What are you? So just to make sure I'm wrapping my mind around it. So this NFT, when they buy it, you haven't published the book yet, but they're going to get excerpts, things that they can kind of preview ahead of time as you're writing.
Well, they'll get the NFT, and they could use it as a screensaver or a backdrop. They will own the digital art, and they'll get a little inspirational quote. I think for someone who is really into surfing or entrepreneurship, they could just be wow, this is a cool surfing image of someone on a wave on a surfboard. Doesn't even really look like me. And some of them I'm reading, believe it or not, at the shore break, I'm reading a book on my surfboard, but it's just a fun thing. I think they're really pretty. I love the art that I used. So I don't know. I love it.
So anyone who's done a project, I'd be curious, what is the goal of your NFTs? What can we share? If you're doing an NFT project or you're thinking about doing one, what's the end goal? Is it user acquisition? Is it charity? Is it profit? I'd love to hear what everybody's thinking about the end goal, or is it just experiment?
So I wanted to just go back to Michelle's project and ask, who do you think, first thing is community. Who do you think is your target investors that you want to target, right? Who do you want to buy your book or, buy this NFT? Imagine what is the persona of those people, right? I mean, maybe they wanted to, I'm not sure, for example, if I were thinking about buying your book, right, I would say maybe the first trick I would say, if you wanted to, is to get influencer who is a surfer who won national competition, and right, and what you do is you gave him one of the NFT for free, because remember, this is provenance, and then that NFT you put it on auction because people want to own the NFT that he owns, right? You know, or right. So you chase him down, or like for example, they were doing the Matrix 4 and the Matrix the last one, and I'm like, oh, if I can get a hug from from Keanu Reeves, okay, I buy, right? So
It sounds like a kissing booth situation.
sorry, it was like if he take his shirt off, I even pay double. So I mean, so it depends on who you're targeting, who your audience is. It's like if they a surfer community, or maybe this NFT or part of book, you get one free lesson from an Olympian who won a surfing lesson, who were part of your book or the book that you kind of, right. So that's what the people were telling me, that I should create a provenance by because people want to own art that was owned by somebody else that's famous, like, oh, value. Right, I bought a house that's owned by Madonna.
The value there is status. So it's again kind of bringing back to some of these basic things. Okay, I get to be associated with this group, or I hate to say cool kids, because that's like saying there are not cool kids in the room. We're all cool kids. But I think it is that reality of like human wanting to be a part of a group or a community or affiliation that's strong and powerful to them. That's amazing. These are great questions. I'm just throwing them on the side because I think we can all ask that of ourselves in our NFT projects. And in terms of the first project, you mentioned it failed because of the marketing and the lack of utility. So that's why we're talking so much about utility and what's really going to motivate that target audience. Because as much as we'd love to say it's the cause or the mission, the reality in the busy space, the open seas marketplaces, and any other crowdfunding areas, there's a lot of good causes. So in order for you to be heard through the busyness of everybody having a cause is by another layer of utility and really connecting that. So I think that was something early on when I chatted with you. I realized right away on the founder trading cards, we were like ready to mint and had this idea and lots of founders behind it, but we're like, whoa, we got to slow up, because what utility are we offering?
And I want to mention that for women, I think in general, we have to look back about us, right? We're not a natural collector. Like, I don't know what we collect Barbie dolls and stuff, but in a world stage of art collection, is mostly men that collects huge, and value these arts, or things like that. So we need to understand who our audience is and who we're trying to. Unfortunately, we have to go back to marketing 101. Right.
Which is a good exercise for our businesses too. I mean, I think this is again a skill set, the same skill set you have selling your own product, your own business, your own company. If you can figure out that audience, figure out what value they are willing to pay for. And what's exciting about this is I don't have to have necessarily the upfront costs of creating a product. I think that's what's really attractive about NFTs to us, is that if I were, so we had an idea, and I'll share a little bit about our project. Here's some really cool things on the side to look at, is with the NFT founder trading cards. I've been thinking about this for like 5-6 years. And it started out as, wouldn't it be great if we could be role models for more young girls to become entrepreneurs and CEOs and leaders? And so I was in Seattle at that time, in Bellevue, which is of course where Microsoft and Amazon is. And I was like, the other thing that's down the street is Funko. And I don't know if you guys are familiar with Funko toys. They are collectibles. They did a lot of deals with Disney and other movies and things like that. And they create these amazing little, almost anime looking, super cute dolls. And they do like limited edition sets. So if you think of like Hello Kitty, this is like an American company that did something similar. And I was always thinking, wouldn't it be great if we could get Funko to do a series of female founders, right? Like, we're all so different. We all have our own little dolls that as a young girl, I could buy, Shira or whatever these other dolls are, but maybe I don't want to be a girl in a leotard with a sword. Maybe I want to be, something that looked more like me, and something that was a leader, a tech founder, whatever it might be. So I felt there was like always a need there for seeing something. But to do a Funko deal, expensive, right? You have to have a partnership, you have to have some value, you have to have a community. It's a whole process to create a physical product. So that always kind of sat in the back of my mind, is like, wouldn't this be so fun? And I always talked about it with people. And I think that's what excited me about NFTs, is like, wow, maybe we can't create dolls, but what about a digital trading card? It's the same concept. We could have this image of ourselves. We could say what our superpowers are, and let's make our superpowers maybe not for a video game, but what change we're making in the world. So our impact, and what perfect way to like universalize that than to connect it to the SDG goals. There's 17 goals of things we're changing. So that's kind of what I'd love to share with everybody. For me, that excited me about NFTs is I can.
So it's I don't mean to interrupt, but it's going back to the same point, right? For this Funko project to happen, if you walk into Funko and said, I have a community of 1 million female who wants to buy this doll, we'll make it happen, right? So and the thing is that the first key is, how do you build that community, right? How do you get to create that? Because I think that the idea is really great, but how many people put money into supporting that particular idea,
right?
And so this is a very, very difficult, right? I've and I've have, when you talk to me, I have given this advice before. I said, first you would have to think about community, like who you think would buy, other female founder or other moms who thinks, and then what do you think that, like for me, right, what do you think is the most, as a group of female founder community, what is the what's the most thing that we need, right? And my answer for myself is, we need access to advice, access to mentor, access to funding, right? How do you get access to that? That is the scarcity in our own female founder community, right? We don't have enough support, enough mentorship, because we don't, the and all the successful entrepreneur, they have mentor, even men do, right? Steve Jobs has Mike Markler, who was the one that was one of the founder of Intel, right? Mark Zuckerberg, he has the Napster guy. I don't know what I'm sorry, I don't know what his name is now, but right? So so I mentioned to Alexis that if I were to do NFT in this particular space, I would create what I call the genie card.
I love that.
Like,
this is a great idea, but this came up because I asked you
about
your project, and I think that's what we want to get going on here, is ask.
Same thing, right? Because it's kind of like, if I were to, let's say, if I buy this NFT and I ask Oprah 3 questions, or I ask Oprah to open one door for me. I'm a holder of NFT. Oprah, please open one door, and she agrees, right? Or Camera O'Harris, I answer 3 questions, or the Spang founder, right? Or the or a VC said, could you open one door for me? Get me one pitch. I bought an NFT and I can retrade it. Other people could now ask you one question the next quarter.
I love that.
Right. So this is kind of like access that nobody has, right?
Yeah. I mean, that we all are trying to get.
Right. Or 1 hour of coaching. If you want to be a ice dance, Olympic ice dancer, right? Like 1 hour of coaching for Alexis, right?
Right. You got to think about your skill sets. I think a lot of us don't think about what superpowers we do have. And in terms of, oh my goodness, we've got Melissa Rich, who also I want to just call out. Thank you so much. This is really great. We'd love to hear from you if you're still in the room. I'm so glad
I'm here.
Yay.
Hi, sorry, I can't come off video because I've got two kids home from school for a snow day today, so a little hectic here.
Oh, wow. Thanks for calling in then.
Yeah, I learned about this from O. Appreciate this introduction, O. And I am here to learn because I've had a vision for NFTs for just a little bit of time, but adding it to this concept that we are relaunching, which is called Super Sisters Cards. And it was a company started by my mother and my aunt in 1978 based on a comment that I made. I played on all my dad's sports teams and his little league teams, and I collected baseball cards. And I came home one day and said, why aren't there pictures of baseball cards? Why aren't there pictures of girls on baseball cards? That isn't fair.
Yeah.
And my mom and my aunt created Super Sisters cards. And
Love
so we are bringing back the cards in physical form, but I see the future as something like NFTs, like, again, introducing something new, something innovative, something impactful, something inspirational to the female community, and getting girls involved, getting women involved, and featuring women leaders in many fields. So
Oh my gosh, I have the chills because this is like very exciting to have. You were so ahead of the time in getting it. And we just would love to, yes, learn with you and by your side. But I feel like we have a lot to learn from you as well, especially on trading cards and things like that. And what an amazing story that you did this with your mom and your sisters.
it's my mom and my aunt. So they were real life sisters, and they were the ones that responded to my inquiry. I was 8 years old when I asked the question. So,
oh my gosh, I love that.
Yeah,
We're
yeah.
all here, I'm sure, very much entrepreneurs at a very young age or had ideas and go-getters. So to hear that you came up with this at 8, awesome.
Yeah. So I would love. I mean, this is the NFT market, all new to me. I do have a technology background, but nothing like O's, and I'm learning and would love partners and trying to figure this out and support. And so,
well, we'll make it happen. And I know this is why we want to bring us all together, because what we really visualize in the direction that we're going at WeTransact is being able to find these alignments where we have alignment between our projects, whether it's NFTs, whether it's our companies for strategic partnerships. We can really start to align with one another in a way that's going to move our missions forward and create maximum impact. And as I like to say, manufacture the serendipity. We don't want to have to be just because you knew and you happen to find out about this today. We want to do this at scale. We want to do it faster. So this is an exciting day for us because this is the first time we've tried this format, and to see so many women showing up for it who are doing amazing things and who have done, I'm excited to see what connections are being. So I do want to share with everybody, we are going to make sure that afterwards there's a way for all of us to connect and engage with one another, also share our own NFT projects as you feel comfortable. The goal, of course, is to foster these relationships, ask each other questions, get different takes. Oh, I'm so grateful to you because you really were the first person that I felt comfortable to reach out to, who I knew had already done the NFTs a few times. And I've learned so much from you that's why I said this shouldn't be just O and I on this call. We need to invite all the other great founders doing good things. So this is very cool. In the last 10 minutes, I'd love to open up if there are any questions for O, if you want to share your project. There's so much going on here, and I'm going to just keep talking on the founder card and pick your brain a little, O. One of the things that we've been thinking about in marketing the founder trading cards is using SDGs as the superpower. So the card would have right now different series. So we want to create as much value as possible, that generational wealth for the founders to continue to earn and have residual income to support them on their missions. So if they have one goal, they might have one card that's minted for that goal, but they might have another card that's minted. So we're creating some value for the collectors out there. They could be collecting the founder and all the cards that they have in all their series. They could be collecting maybe all the SDG Goals 5 because they want to support women with gender equity as a goal, as a SDG goal. So we're trying to create a couple layers. So there's multiple reasons why you'd want to collect, but the utility is kind of what I'd love to open up to the group. What would you as a founder like to have access to? If you were able to buy an NFT in the very early series, you're going to get obviously a very affordable or low price because it's kind of the base price before it's gone up. So would it be access? We've come up with some ideas. Oh, you really came up with the genie idea. And what it is if you buy a card, you get to ask maybe a celebrity founder that's tied to that card 3 questions, or maybe you get a half an hour phone call or an opportunity to a pitch to an investor. So we're trying to figure out, is that something that'd be valuable to you? Is that something that maybe you would buy a fellow founder's card just to know that, hey, they're tied to some really famous investor that you've been trying to get a hold of on LinkedIn or get a warm introduction to? Would that be of value? So that's where our brain is trying to figure out what that utility is that would help a founder who's buying the card, because ultimately in the beginning, we feel it's going to be founders who are going to support each other by buying each other's cards in the very beginning. So that's an open-ended question. If you have any ideas, send me a note. If you don't, it's okay. But utility is the biggest, hardest challenge. What about your second?
It could be something like you help me with marketing, I help you with, technical work. It could be also trade of skill set. Like like this kind of advice, or you be on my board, I'm on your board, or and different type of trading of skill set. Yeah.
Skill set's a whole new thing to think about. And this is one of the reasons why we didn't want to launch the cards right away, because we really want to figure out that utility. And we really want to be something more than just a graphic and a day trading flip. We want to be something that's sustainable and that's only going to grow in value. So it helps the people involved now, but it's also going to pay it
Right.
forward.
So just to answer Michelle's question, when I was consulting, not consulting, but I consulted those guys, the marketers who market the Bored Ape people. They said that, they told me that, in your Twitter account, you need at least 10,000 followers to even get noticed, right? To pre-sell, basically, you need to start, gaining the momentum, and these could take, it's kind of like Kickstarter campaign.
Yeah.
It's almost like you need to go, hire people from Las Vegas to help you promote this stuff. But right, 10K minimum. So, start, building momentum and look for people. And then, on top of that, right, just like Michelle was doing, once you start, getting community together, you could ask them what do they think is the utility, and you can create different series of, of cards, right?
That's right. Each series can have a totally different utility, which is a good point. Experiment, try it out with a small set or a group, see if it works. If it does, of course, rinse, wash, repeat, similar to being a startup in terms of figuring out that product market fit. And community is really important. I think this room alone, if we were to leverage all of our communities to really support all of our NFT projects, that's a lot more eyes than if we were just trying to market individually to the community. And that's one thing we wanted to open up in this conversation too, is how do we leverage all of our communities, get all their eyes on our projects? Because it's a lot of money to market each of us our own projects. So if we can kind of act as a cooperative, and that's really what our Innovate DAO, which we are in the works right now of putting together, is that all of these sub DAOs, so a DAO, of course, would allow all of us to act. We have equal ownership in this community. We can promote as a whole everything that's going on underneath, but it's a way to like pool together our really marketing assets, so to speak, to make sure we get more eyes on it. Because if I were to go out, I might have a great network of people. Somebody else might have a great marketing team. We need to pool together these resources to really benefit all of our projects for them to be successful. So that was kind of the original thought of how do we really get us together as a DAO, and then we can still have all of our individual products and
Well,
NFT series.
one other thought I have was to if you look at there's two example of communities that we want to look at, which is the Gary V. He basically built himself from nothing to become an influencer in this space, right? Another one is Meta Angels. I type it in there.
It's a great group. If
Right.
you're not familiar,
Meta Angels, when I joined them, when I heard of them, they only have 3,000 followers in their Discord channel. But
Yeah.
now they have 5,000. That's only 1 week. And Randy Zuckerberg is the one, she's,
has some celebrity power support. She's on the
Right.
board.
Right. So it's but I meant to go there and study how they build communities, because all they did was just draw angel pictures. So not a lot of sorry, I meant that, it's not a high technical bar. It just they build a community entirely, and they have utilities that I try to figure out that out myself.
Yeah.
Also, as a group, we could also take a different approach. Instead of we could build community, and we can figure out like the whole, what do you call it, like a Bored Ape type of projects, right? I don't know, Bored Python, or I don't know, some other,
So I was just going to add to this that
please do.
What we're seeing is that building community is also part of this, right? As we're all talking about, and part of building the community can actually be, you can do an NFT drop for events, like whether they're, virtual events. You say, hey, you came to this event, like here's an NFT that's just for this event. You can add it to your collection. When you have 5 of these, you can get access to a VIP, meetup where we're going to talk, blah, blah, blah.
Love that.
I've seen this. I've seen it actually. South by Southwest is having in Austin coming up in March. And there's a tequila brand that is specifically doing this. And they just were like, hey, if you have one of our NFTs, you can now come to our super secret house party in Mexico. And I was like, oh, okay. So similar to Bored Ape, right? You get
COVID, but thank you.
Love it.
Well, take it or leave it, right? That's up to the individual. But but it's an interesting opportunity to again create that, that commonality, whether it's a virtual event or a physical event. And you can actually geo, drop things. So you can have people do basically like scavenger hunts to find the NFTs. Like there's a ton of cool ways to build it into other things you're already doing that create more of that sort of echo.
I love that. And these are the things that are so cool. And Hermosa is in Mexico. Hi, Hermosa. It's great to see you.
But don't take people from Texas. I don't mean about Mexico, but Texas, they feel us.
And today I hate to wrap this up because we're really getting into some amazing things. I think we are definitely going to do this again to pick up our conversations, because there's a lot of assets that we have just by coming together on something like this, figuring out how we can leverage it, come up with creative ways. It is an experiment. Nobody knows, but we can learn from each other's wins and failures. And right now in NFTs, thank you so much, because you've been such an important part of a sounding board for me and to offer to be a sounding board for each other. This is very cool. And we are going to go on to our next panel. If you have any other questions, feel free. I'm going to connect everybody afterwards so that we can continue this and figure out how we can support you on your NFT project, and also figure out all of the next steps so we can really do something with this amazing tool. And Melissa, thank you so much. This is great. We really appreciate you being here. I feel like we had a celebrity drop in on our session today. So this is kind of the amazing things that can happen at our summits. So thank you. And again, you're amazing. You are a force. You keep going, and you do so many.
Thank you, Alexis. And please feel free to reach out to Alexis, and then we could figure out how to move everybody's project forward. I think that we pull resources together, and a few of us knows a house party that we can offer.
I love it. that's a fun note for us to leave it on. And I think that's fantastic. And I want to slide right in. I see a lot of people for the next event.